It's here, guys. The Snyder Cut. Guess who just finished all 4 hours and 2 minutes of this piece of shit? So I reviewed Batman vs. Superman, Man of Steel, all those movies. Um, and I absolutely detest those movies. If you want to ask me what are my least favorite movies of all time, it'd be The Lion King remake as number 1. It'd be Frozen 2 as number 2. Frozen as number 3. Man of Steel is number 4, and number 5 would be Batman vs. Superman. Those are my most hated films of all time. Those films right there. Justice League I hated significantly less. I was not as critical as some people were because I don't really like. Yes, it's a bad movie. I understand that. But when I look at The Flash, I see The Flash in that movie. When I look at Superman, he's acting more like Superman should act. Aquaman, not so much. Cyborg, I don't really know too much about that character besides him in Teen Titans, so I can't really speak on that. And Batman is acting slightly more like Batman. And, I prefer the characters I like to act like the characters that they are. I don't want to watch a movie of Batman killing people and trying to kill Superman for no reason that's not properly explained. It is explained, but not well. Um, and Superman being grouchy and pissed off and not really caring about civilians and things like that. That's not Superman. Like, Superman is a hopeful character. He's an optimistic character. I know people who disagree with that. I love Snyder's films. So I wasn't looking forward to this movie, especially when I heard it was 4 hours long. Now, I was okay with that when it was announced as a mini series. And but now it's not a mini series. It's a 4 hour and 2 minute movie. And let me tell you right now, this thing does not need to be 4 hours. Here's the thing about Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder has a style. Every director does, every good one, I should say. Like, there are directors who you watch their films and you can't really tell them apart from any other film, but that's because they don't have a style. Well, Zack Snyder, you can't say he doesn't have a style. Like him or hate him, he's got a style. Now, here's the problem with this style. Sometimes his style actively ruins the film he's making. And I think it really hurt this movie. Now, I'm sure Zack Snyder didn't know that they were going to recut this movie to be 4 hours. I think it was supposed to be 2 parts from what I know. But when you're slowing down sequences, even if it would just be like, it just slows down ridiculously slow. It's so slow and boring and plotting. I'm like, this movie actually, I wasn't engaged the whole time with this movie, and that's because sequences move a lot slower than they should. I know that he likes slow-mo. Cool. Slow-mo should be used not all the time and at random scenes, at random points. There are several scenes in this movie that didn't need to be in slow-mo. Like, I like the one with the Flash being in slow-mo. That makes sense. Was the Flash, him stopping that woman, saving him with the car, that lady with the car, just a random civilian he saves. That's really good. I actually really liked the portrayal of the Flash in here. I thought he was well done. Cyborg, I liked his story in the Justice League movie. I think it's obviously significantly way more fleshed out here, but it's really good. Some people are saying they like Steppenwolf more. I don't really understand that. He's the same, except the CG is a little bit better, and that's it. He doesn't really have a character at all. He's like, he's kind of like Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, he's there. That's what he is. He doesn't really have a character, but, I like that. I think the CG and the effects in this movie are definitely better. Doesn't mean they're good. A lot of them are unconvincing. Some of them work, some of them don't. I don't like Batman in this movie. Batman threatens to kill a certain character that cameos in this movie Yes, we know there was going to be cameos. It's already been confirmed. I'm not saying who they are because this is a non-spoiler review. But the way he speaks about them trying to kill them, which is insanely ridiculous. Like Batman does not do that. Batman is, it's kind of weird because Batman in this movie, most of this movie, it's him feeling bad for killing Superman like he did. And in fact, it actually, um, never mind, I'm not going to say that, it's a spoiler. But, that's him feeling bad for that, which we already knew Superman was coming back. Duh. He came back in the original cut, and he comes back in this cut, of course, after he's been dead. But it's like, why would Batman threaten to kill somebody when, hello, not only is he Batman, but he's also, um, Batman doesn't kill people. It's part of his rule. We all know this moral code thing. But here's the thing about that is like, he's feeling bad about killing somebody. Why would he threaten to do that again? The whole point of Batman's character and his non-killing thing, if you really want to know the story, is that Batman's parents are dead. His life has been ruined, and he's living with the scar of his parents being dead, and so he's trying to avoid causing that harm to anybody else ever again. That's the point of Batman's no-killing rule. And so it's kind of like, yeah, okay, you understand that? So that's why we don't kill with Batman. And he caused harm to a lot of people when he killed Superman. And I love how the government in this movie, when Superman comes out, they're like shooting at him. Like, what? It's just like such a dumb sequence. Like, I get why he's fighting the Justice League because what happened when he came back. But it's like, why are there military vehicles shooting at Superman? Like, people have seen it on tape of Superman flying and throwing a guy through buildings who fights at the same level of strength he does. Are you telling me that you thought he was going to get killed by just a few bullets? Like, what the hell? And then, in a normal superhero movie, I'd probably mind this stuff less. But the problem is, Zack Snyder's films try to act like they're so smart and so great and everything, but he's a very pretentious guy. I don't know what to tell you guys. He's pretentious. And people always say, nah, he's not pretentious. That's just something that people make up about him. Like, he screams pretentious. He has a style that ruins the movies he makes, which is pretty pretentious. Like, he's like, I'm an artist. Cool, you're an artist. Yeah, you're an artist. You got that right. But, like, what you're doing to your films isn't good. Your style actively hurts the movie. This movie moves ridiculously way too slow because, yeah, I mean, I don't know. A lot of this film is pretty interesting, though. A lot of this film is the 2017 Justice League. I would say a large amount of it is 2017 Justice League. But different color palettes, different dialogue, all that stuff. Which is kind of interesting. I really hated Superman in this movie. I thought I was gonna be more okay with him, but no. There's the end shot, and this isn't a spoiler. It is, but it's like a mild spoiler. It's not gonna ruin anything. So if you want to skip, you can skip, but whatever. He rips his shirt like the Richard Donner Superman, and you see him still wearing the black suit after he came back after he's dead, and it's like, no, it's an epilogue. He didn't need to be wearing the black suit. He should have been wearing his normal suit. And I don't like the aggressive, pissed off Superman being there. And I also like the 2017's approach to this Superman a lot more because in that cut, people kind of miss Superman a little bit, and they were upset he died. And I get that doesn't make sense because of the last movie, but it's like it's still more Superman than what they do with him in this movie. In fact, they don't really address how the world feels about Superman being gone. They more address how the other heroes feel about him being gone. But it's like, I don't know. And Arthur Curry in this movie, Aquaman, he's pretty cool in this movie, I guess. But it's like, I don't know. It doesn't fully align with his justice with Aquaman, which I think it just shows that when Zack Snyder says, Warner Brothers does not see this version as canon. The it, and they see the 2017 one as canon, which I agree with. Not because here's the thing. I know I'm like comparing them a lot, but here's the thing. I'm just gonna flat out tell you, this is not a good movie, and It's not a good movie because number one, not just because it portrays the characters wrong. Okay, there are lots of good superhero movies that portray the characters wrong. There are lots of good superhero material that does that. And they're still good. Like the X-Men movies are pretty atrocious with how they portray the X-Men characters, but some of them are good. So I would just say, there's good approaches to those. And that's how I'm going to address that. It's just, here's what I'll say. Is like, it's not a good movie because the setup was poor. Man of Steel was not made, didn't seem like it was made to start a franchise. And then Batman vs. Superman was made to start a franchise in the most clunky way possible. And then this movie had to kind of carry the pieces. This movie would have still been better if we got an Aquaman movie, a Flash movie, and all that stuff. Now, I know people complain Marvel is kind of, basic and they're kind of, the same and stuff. And they're getting more unique as time goes on. But here's what I'm saying. Yes, they are. But they understood one thing, which is that, which is not the best balance, but they had a balance, a pretty decent balance of how to balance letting creatives be creative, like with Taika Waititi with Thor Ragnarok and James Gunn with Guardians of the Galaxy, and they were letting them do that. They were letting them have their their cake and eat it, and they can make their movie and be creative, but and still make a good movie that's profitable and people like. Now these movies never did that. They were never ever a good balance. They were always, this is Zack's vision. Zack doesn't, and it's also like with the Marvel movies, you can tell that even though they get crap wrong about characters in the movies and they change stuff, you can tell that the people actively like the characters. These movies feel like Zack is actively trying to warp and change the characters into what he sees the characters as. Okay, but that's not what the characters are. And so when he's warping them and changing them and like, I'm going to explore this side of the character, I'm like, this isn't a side of the character at all. And that's what he does. And I think that's why this movie sucks. I think, yeah, there are some cool moments in here. There's some great visuals in here that really are awesome. But there's also a lot of bad shit in here because it's not supposed to be a good movie. It's not a good movie. I still agree that this cut should have never happened because it's just more demand for something that should never have happened. Zack Snyder's film should have never happened. We should have gotten... we should have only gotten... We only should have gotten the 2017 cut, and when that failed, they should have tried to reboot it with some smaller characters like Shazam, like they were doing, and then see what else works. And then maybe try Justice League again in the next few years or so. I mean, they should definitely try it again, but I just think this isn't the right approach. This movie's garbage. I think, I know some people are really going to disagree with me because there's a lot of hype coming out of this movie, and I think that's to be expected. Here's why. Because we've had so many fan demand for so many years that fans have literally convinced themselves that this movie was going to be good before it even came out. So if you watch this movie and you really liked it, did you really like it because you watched it all 4 hours once or twice? That's my question to you. How much of it is the hype? You're hyped, cool. It's just, they've already convinced themselves this is going to be a good movie. And that's a bad mentality. Don't ever try to convince yourself something's a good movie before it comes out. And that's what people are doing with this movie. They're like, yes, this is going to be great. And I'm not saying it's horrible, really bad or anything, but I think it is an example of a fandom that has convinced themselves a movie's going to be good. I also see a lot of critics saying this is the best DC movie, which no, Shazam is. I'm sorry, it's just a Shazam because it's actually like someone liked the character and did some interesting stuff with the character and made a really likable, charming, fun movie. Well, it doesn't mean as much as Zack's movies. Zack's movies mean nothing. He's a pretentious filmmaker. We all know this by now. We should all know this by now, at least. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I even tried to like it this time. I saw the early reviews and I was like, yeah, I want to like this movie. I'm hoping it's good, but I go into every movie hoping it's good. This movie, I didn't necessarily do that as much. I was actually expecting it to be bad. I was actually hoping it to be bad in the sense that, well, I wanted this universe to die because even if this was good, I know we ain't getting more. They've already said that enough. Um, and I'm okay with that, even if I like this movie. But, you know, it still was just as bad. Actually, I wouldn't say just as bad. It's a lot better than the other movies, but it's still bad in the sense that it misrepresents the characters. It's too dark and drewy. The dialogue here sucks. A lot of the characters are decently defined, but not as well defined in Marvel movies. They're not as likable, and it's just overall, I'm giving it a D, a 4 out of 10.